The Marinade.
There's no O in marinade. Let's try it one more time. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
The Marinade.
Marinade.
Bone marinade. The
That's
Marinade.
The Marinade. With Jason Earle. Welcome to The Marinade with Jason Earle, a free-flowing conversation about the creative process with creative people. This is episode 94, and our guest is J.W. Francis. J.W. Francis is a singer and songwriter whose latest record, Wanderkid, comes out on October 1st. While Francis's home is technically New York, as you will hear in this conversation, he is a man of the world, and that is what you get from Wanderkid. It's a polyphonic record that sounds like New York, but feels at home all over the place. We caught up with JW while he was thru-hiking the Appalachian Trail. This conversation was such a delight, y'all. I'm so excited to bring it to you. Everyone, my conversation with J.W. Francis. You sound great too. Oh my goodness, what a perfect. You have your headlamp and your presumably in your tent.
Yeah.
And how many toenails do you have left?
Most of them.
They usually fall off later anyway.
Yeah.
Man, thank you so much for doing this.
Dude, thanks for having me. This is great.
Yeah, this is exciting. Very cool. Well, hi, it's so nice to meet you, and it's so nice to get a chance to talk to you. I want to talk about so much, man. I'm an avid hiker, and so I want to pick your brain about the AT and everything later. But dude, I've been listening to your record. It hit me in a way that it's like a fresh sound to me. It's something just so new, even though it is rooted in things that I know and it's familiar in ways, but it just hit me in a way that I haven't heard anything hit me in a while. And so I'm just so excited to dive in.
Hell yeah. That's awesome to hear, man.
Yeah, I've just been listening to it constantly, dude. It's just been, I ordered the vinyl and CD pre-order, the package.
Sweet.
I know. I'm stoked. And I'm so glad you did that too, because I love having my vinyl copy for home, and then I like having my CD for my trips, for my Walkman.
Yeah.
My Discman. Oh man. So anyway, let's dive right in. So let's talk about Wanderkid. Who is Wanderkid? How did this character come into your consciousness? How did all this start?
Well, it kind of comes like a song. It just comes all at once. Actually, I remember like kind of like it was like a cliche movie scene where I grabbed a piece of paper and I was like, hold on, and I wrote the Wanderkid in all caps and showed it to my roommate, and I was like, does this make sense to you? He was like, yeah, it's kind of cool. And I was like, yeah, it's all caps. It's one word, Wanderkid. It's like, just, you get it. Like, like I don't even want to put it in words, like, because it's hard. But yeah, it kind of came at a point when I just wanted to get out, and I wanted to. I mean, yeah, I wanted to be like a child wandering around. I guess is the best way to put it. But the funny thing about this album is that I wanted to live it out, and I kind of like want to make this a thing of my other albums too. It's way more fun to like write the album and then actually live it. So this album was about quitting my job, just getting rid of everything, going out, getting out of my life basically, and then I did that.
Wow.
In the rain.
Oh, that's amazing, man. So, what can you kind of take us back to that moment? Like, what are you? Do you have like a desk job? Are you like
Yeah.
bartending? What are you doing at the time?
Well, it was actually amazing. It was an amazing like day job to have. I was working for my hero, Joseph Stiglitz, who's this economist, like 2 Nobel Prize winning inequality economist. So yeah, it was interesting. He was my hero in college, and then I just kind of ended up being his right hand man. And it was a little like Devil Wears Prada. Like doing research on numbers, I wasn't like well, sometimes I would get his coffee, but I was like getting his flights and just like setting up his life. And it was cool because he was like meeting with like, the president of Ethiopia and stuff. And it was just like really cool to see how, and I studied economics, so it was interesting to see how it actually plays out. Like in terms of like people going to an economist like they're a wizard and being like, tell me how how to make my economy go good. but but yeah, so that was like a path in life that I was thinking about, but it was always music. I always knew I wanted to do music, but yeah, Wanderkid was really like, man, yeah, I'm supposed to not be, I'm supposed to be somewhere else. Everyone feels that, you're supposed to be,
Yeah.
that's what you're supposed to be somewhere else.
Is that the sound of the rain hitting your tent? Are you in your tent right now?
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is the best. This is by far the best podcast recording ever. I'm so excited to get into this. All right. So you're there, you're working for this economist who's a bit of a hero of yours. And what does the creative process, like, how does that fit in that life? Because like when my brain thinks economics, it does not necessarily think songwriting. So like
Yeah.
how do those worlds coexist?
Well, I've always loved to like wear a lot of hats. So I always saw it as like another hat that I had on. I never even really thought of it as like intersecting in any way with my music. So I was in a bunch of bands throughout that whole job, and I was just like always the guy in the band that wanted to do it the most. I was like, so yeah, this whole solo project was kind of a birth of that, of like, I know exactly what I write a billion songs a day. I just want to like put something out there that I like, that I think people will like. Yeah. So
You say you write a billion songs a day. Is that all up
yeah,
here? Or are you sitting down to do the work? Like what does that process look like?
it's definitely mostly up in my head, but then sometimes I'd love to just let it spill out, and it's and it's like it's fun to do it in little like project based ways. Is kind of how I do, well, how anybody does stuff. But like for example, for Valentine's Day, like 6 weeks before Valentine's Day, I'll put out a call on Instagram, and I'll say, hey, I will write a song for your Valentine if you just give me their name and the reason that you love them, free of charge, whatever, let's go. And so I got like 40 requests the first year I did it, 80 requests the second year I did it. Last year it was like, I think 110 or something like that requests. And just like, so I'd love to just like sit down and like be like, Rachel, or whatever it is. But yeah, because I'm like, yeah, no problem. I got to like write a song like that.
Okay, so it sounds like you're not a guy who struggles with like writer's block or any sort
No,
of no?
no. I mean, I understand it for sure. I've definitely been in like moods where I'm just like too sad to write or something like that, or a
Mm.
voice play or whatever. But I kind of feel like once you get in the groove, you kind of realize you can kind of pull them out of thin air, or like they're always there. Like you just kind of got to listen. You gotta listen for it.
Well, and again, I guess that kind of comes back to the question I was asking about when you're. This is a theme throughout my conversations with artists. Is like
Mm.
if you're doing that day job work, how and that song's there because so for example, Wanderkid came out in a fury. It sounds like, and so
Hmm.
what if you were like going to get my man some coffee and then it needed to come out in a fury? Is it going to stay there or like how do you balance that?
Well, it comes out. I mean, the real pragmatic process is like I open up voice memos on my phone. And I'm like, or whatever it is, and like go back and if it's
Which track on the album was that? I don't
uh,
recognize that one.
that one's coming. That's on the next
Okay.
but yeah, I'll take that. Sometimes I'll literally just drop whatever I'm doing. Like literally, I'll be with a friend and I'll be like, "Sorry, dude, I gotta go." Like, but no voice memo, and then at night, whenever I was done working on whatever, I just open up my voice memos and open up Logic, or yeah, I use Logic, and just kind of figure out what the hell I was doing about, and kind of go from there.
Is that you with a piano and a guitar or like what does the granular look
The
like?
whole
Are you
I got a little rack next to me, and it's got a Hofner bass. It's got a Duosonic Strat guitar. It's got an Epiphone SG for when you want that like warmer kind of stuff. It's got a Teisco. I got way too many guitars. A Teisco, and I want like a really shitty sound. Um, and then a little MIDI keyboard for making drums. And in my last apartment, I had a little Questlove kit, and that was sick. But now I've just got this little MIDI keyboard.
Okay, so you get home. Do you have the are do you have like the emotional and creative capital when you get home to create or when you get home from that day job kind of work? Or I mean it could be anything. It doesn't have to be the day job kind of work. In any kind of
Mhm.
whatever that day was like for you. Do you still have that there, that energy and that creative and emotional capital to make that music?
I have been blessed with way too much energy. So yeah,
Wow.
I do. I guess like one thing now is like this new lifestyle I've been living, which is hiking 20 miles a day
Mm-hmm.
without a guitar or a laptop. That is one thing I'm kind of hurting for. Is like I need a guitar and at least a guitar and a laptop to really like get the music out of my system. And I don't really have a lot of energy after hiking 20 miles. But doing a desk job,
Mm-hmm.
I was like I could do some music.
That's really interesting. I think so. We can kind of start to venture into the hiking thing, just because it again, I want to nerd out a little bit about it because I've done sections of the AT. I did
Nice.
Springer Mountain to Blood Mountain.
No way.
Yeah, in like December,
Whoa.
7 degrees. Like it was my very first experience, and I had like my buddy's Walmart hiking boots that
Oh
were
no.
like 2 sizes too big, and
No, no.
I just icicles on my face. I had like it was 7 degrees, and I had like a 20-degree bag, and it just everything that could go wrong went wrong, and I was like, well, I'm fucking hooked. You know. And then I've done my buddy and I go every year. We just got back from Montana. We did about 45 miles in Glacier.
Okay.
And we did a few years ago, we did the White Mountains up in New Hampshire and Vermont, and then we did just Katahdin one day. So we just did
Wow.
like just Katahdin.
That's
But man, you got some gorgeous scenery ahead of you. Like and
great.
some really hard fucking hiking, as I'm sure you know.
I hear it all the time. It's like, wait for the whites. Just wait for the whites.
Dude, it's just up and down and up and down and no switchbacks and roots and rocks, but you got this. Um, but I think like the thing about that is I tend to, and I'm curious how you feel about this in terms of your creative process on the trail, is that when I'm in the backcountry, um,
Mm,
I don't necessarily think about a lot of I don't get a lot of deep thoughts necessarily because I'm just like, I got to put one foot in front of the other and I need to find out where I need to camp. And I kind of revert back to the base needs that I have.
right.
And that comes, what that does is that it does nurture something for me in terms of I make promises to myself about when I get off the trail, there are certain base things about me that I want to kind of address. And that tends to come out in my writing, at least for a little while.
Mm, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely gotten me back to, it's definitely like reset me in a way. Like you're saying, like bring it back to what you need and just kind of remind yourself that your body is kind of a stupid machine that like needs like water and calories. And it's like someone said, like you're a house plant with more complicated emotions. Like,
Mhm.
I really observe my mental state change so much just due to not having water or not having
Mhm.
food or just like little things, and you're like, it really affects you. So honestly, I was kind of getting into this whole, I was like meditating probably like 6 or 7 months leading up to my hike, like really getting into that and just kind of realizing how much I could manipulate my brain with just like thinking an image or like saying something to myself. Um, and now it's this whole experience has kind of reinforced how like simple it really is in terms of like staying happy and healthy. And I mean, healthy is a whole nother thing, but just
Mhm.
like drinking water and going for walks and like eating and what a lot of people learn throughout getting shut down, quarantine and everything too. But this is like an kind of an extreme version of it. Like all I do is take walks.
Man, that's interesting, especially as and maybe maybe I don't know Wanderkid as well as I think I know him from listening to him 700 times in
Mhm.
the last couple weeks, and I really have like had it on repeat, man. But but the character in the record
Mhm.
seems almost like I was thinking about it as I was listening to it again today. There's there are moments where Wanderkid seems pretty content, so that meditative kind of sense. And then there are lots of moments where Wanderkid seems not at all okay with what's going
Yeah.
on, like really restless, and longing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so like I'm wondering if that's something you were conscious of, or that's me projecting onto it.
No, totally. It's that's kind of the whole vibe of the record is like on the one hand a very like happy, content person pretty much wherever I am, but at the same time I this is something I realized out here is that I'm always longing for something else, to be somewhere else, to be someone else. But like whenever I had my day job, I was dreaming of the trail and longing. And whenever I'm out here, all I'm thinking about or like something, or like air conditioning and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized like I'm never not long. So like I might, might as well accept it and go with it and acknowledge it at least.
Well, that's the end goal, right? I mean, that's what meditation is designed to do anyway, is like don't judge those thoughts and don't judge
Yeah.
those feelings and just accept them for what they are. And the trail brings that out. But I think music is similar.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I never pick up my guitar and think I shouldn't have done that. And I never go for a hike and think I shouldn't have done that. Even though something might come up that I wasn't ready for necessarily. It's
Mm-hmm.
never I never regret that experience.
Right. There's no real like wrong steps on this trail. Like
Mm.
kind of like there's no real wrong notes. It's just all music, baby. It's just all walking.
That's great. You have this wonderful I don't know if it's not necessarily a regular blog you're keeping, but you have like you
Mm-hmm.
wrote up some, something about your experiences, and you said on that that there are two types of people on the Appalachian Trail. There's people looking for advice and there's people looking to give it.
Hmm.
Which one are you?
It's funny because I feel like everybody starts in one category and ends up in another. And I 100% came out here looking for advice, like having no idea what I was doing, whatever. And all the time I find myself now like telling people like, oh, you should consider this, you should consider that, or whatever. Like, so yeah, I'm still looking for advice, but I find myself giving it a lot too.
Man, that's great. Are there one of the things that about hiking that I love is that there are transferable lessons. And are there transferable lessons in that for you, especially in your creative process?
Yeah, 100, like I think about that all the time while I'm walking. Like I feel like anything I want to do in life now, I can kind of treat like the trail in the sense of like I just have to do it every day and like work on it and it's not even like, I mean, obviously it's a lot of effort, but like with the trail, like you know exactly what to do. You just keep moving forward. And it's the same honestly with music. Like you can get blocked, but you know that if you just keep banging your head against the piano or whatever, if you just stay there and keep doing it, it's going to come out or something's going to happen.
Man, that's great. Well, the other thing so another one of those parallels, and this is something, like I said, I just got back from Montana just a couple weeks ago, and every time, and it never has this been more apparent what I'm about to say than when I was on the AT up in New Hampshire. But that the trail angels, which you allude to, or you talk about directly, and then trail magic, that happens along the trail. Though that feeling, so let's kind of talk about that for a second, because folks listening may not know what we're talking about. But then also, I try to bring that mentality, the trail magic mentality, back into my life when I get back. And so, and that can be very hard to do because you're bombarded with so many things. So let's kind of like examine the trail magic that you've experienced and the trail angels you've come across, and then maybe talk about how that might transfer into your life later.
Totally. So for anybody who doesn't know, trail magic is free stuff that you get on trail, basically like free food or free supplies, what have you. Trail angels are usually people that drive up and down and just there to help, and they're just there to help you get through your hike. I've had some pretty beautiful experiences. Honestly, it gives you so much faith in humanity, especially after you're like with all the people that like give you some. So this person, I got like severely dehydrated one day in Pennsylvania. It was just a totally dry stretch. And the water was contaminated with zinc, so we couldn't drink it. So we'd done 22-mile day. Anyway, halfway through, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And we found a road walked for a mile and a half, ended up at this tavern, and the owner of the tavern comes over. So he wasn't actually like particularly a trail angel, but this was just some amazing trail magic. He sits at the table and he's like, you look like you're out of sorts. How about you just like pitch your tent in my backyard here? Like you'll be taken care of. And then soon enough, like the table next to us had heard that we were thru hikers and whatever. They put $25 on our tab and they were like, give whatever you want. They were asking for bear stories and all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, it was just amazing. It was amazing to see that. And also like I had been living in New York City for the past 8 years, and there were like NRA stickers and stuff all over this guy's truck. And like before we walked in, I was like, I don't know about this place. And my friend was like, well, you have to drink water to survive, so we have to take you in here. And it just ended up being like the most like beautiful, amazing experience.
My goodness.
But taking that back into real life. Well, one other interesting kind of funny thing that happened was like the next morning they were like, let us make you coffee, let us drive you back to the trail. And we're sitting there and they got Fox News on, and there, and I was like, oh gosh, and like, there's this thing about the LA homelessness crisis, and this guy like raps his knuckles against the bar, and he's like, no one in this country should be homeless. No one in the country should be hungry. And I'm just like, damn, like this guy's sounding kind of socialist, like. But like, it just kind of struck me like that people have like really like a same fundamental good like kindness of like wanting to help other people, even though like they might have like NRA stickers on their truck and stuff, you know. Like,
Dude, my hiking buddy is a Trumper, and so I will go in the backcountry with a man who voted for Donald Trump twice.
mm-hmm.
And this is probably going to shock you, but I'm not. And it's so interesting because again, it's hard to, you know, to see someone with the NRA sticker and to see them watching Fox News and not immediately project onto them, well, if you're listening to this shit and you have to be a bad person, right? Like you have to be a terrible individual. And my hiking buddy is like one of the sweetest and smartest. He's a chemical engineer. He's a fucking genius. And one of the smartest people I know. I've known him for 20 plus years. He's got a wonderful family. He's a great dad. He's a great husband to his wife. Like he's just a good man. And it doesn't make any sense to me that he's fallen for the propaganda the way he has. But getting in the backcountry with somebody, all that shit melts away.
Yeah.
It is just, are we going to get eaten by this bear or not? Literally, is the bear going to jump on our back or not? You know, and figuratively, is the bear going to jump on our back or not? And if it happens, are we going to be there for each other? And it all melts away, and you just have to be there together.
Yeah, and especially when you're through hiking, because just everyone's just going north, like, so you don't even mention politics, like, which is great.
Yeah. Man, where are you right now?
I'm actually in Connecticut now, so I've made it almost 1,500 miles.
Oh my goodness, you've made some serious progress. I was going to ask you about that. So like when you get off the trail, if I understand your schedule right, you're going to go on tour almost immediately.
Yeah.
What the fuck, dude?
I'm like, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm trying to like hurry up right now. That's why I'm doing like 20-mile days, because I'm just like, I want at least like, you know, a week to like just like lay down and drink chocolate milk, you know, because I heard that, yeah, I've heard some not great stories of people like going back to real life after through hiking, like just living out here for 5 months will just kind of change your brain. Like
100%. I mean, even being out in the backcountry for 5 or 6 days, the way my buddy and I do it, when I come back, I'm rewired.
Yeah.
So do it for 5 months. And for folks listening, if you don't know how long a 20-mile day is, it is a serious fucking hike. Like he's doing, we did like 20, my buddy and I'll do it every once in a while, but we're only doing it for 3 days, you know, and we'll do one of those is 20 miles. We just did in Glacier. We did like a 14-mile day the first day. And I looked at him when we got to camp. I was like, dude, we are too old. Let's do 10-mile days. 10 miles is a good, and let's get to camp and like watch the deer run around us. And like,
yeah,
20 miles is just hustling.
It's just hustling. There's no enjoyment. Like it's wake up at 6, hike, like get in the camp before dark, hopefully.
Yeah.
But you know.
Well, so when you get off okay, maybe you don't want to think about that too much, because I like, but I am curious what this record's gonna look like live, because the way you describe the process, it seems like it's a pretty solitary, creative process for you. So what does that look like if you're gonna perform these songs? Because I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, they're not like orchestral, but
right.
How are you gonna make that come to life?
Well, I've got a great drummer, so that helps a lot. And the thing that really, the real secret sauce of doing it live is having Emily Skoros. She's my keyboardist who also does like shaker and percussion, because I mean, anybody who listens to the record, there's like a lot of drum stuff going on, and that's like Mr. Sahil, who is just all about shakers, and he has like a whole room of like fun things that make noise, you know. So, but yeah, it'll be like a 5-piece band, at least in New York. We'll see in the UK. I'm kind of like doing this funny thing. You know, Chuck Berry used to like get in a car and like ride from town to town and just like make a new band in every town because it was cheaper than carrying around 4 people, apparently. Where I go to the UK, yeah, I'm like setting up a little band because I was like, I really want to bring all the people in New York, but that's a lot of plane tickets.
Do you know folks over there that you could hook up with?
Yeah, I know some people, so it'll be fun. And then I've done it before, and I love playing with new people because it makes it especially when you get jazzy people, like they make it like crazy.
Yeah. So why tour the UK first?
Man, I'm doing a reverse British invasion. I'm trying to do that thing where you're American and you go over to England and they're like, "Woo, we love it," and then you come back to America and America's like, "Well, I guess if England likes it, we better like like the Strokes did that, like kind of thing." Jimi Hendrix.
Man, there's so much about it. This record isn't the Strokes, but there's so much about it that makes me feel nostalgic for when I discovered the Strokes. That was one of the things that came out quite a bit.
Oh yeah. That's, I mean, that I feel very nostalgic about. I mean, like Is This It was like I had like a CD alarm clock, so it would like start playing like track 1 to wake me up every morning. So yeah, Is This It was that CD, so it would always start with
wow.
Yeah.
Is that when you're in Oklahoma at that time? Is that about that age?
Yeah, and I was really little.
So what about like you seem to have lived in several places, but you've been in New York for quite some time, and now you're the Wanderkid. So what like how much does place inform your creative process, and how important is place to you?
Oh, dude, place is so important to me. It's probably, besides people, people number 1, place number 2, probably I'd say in terms of creative like influences. Yeah, New York, like I'm just like really receptive. I feel like I'm very porous to vibes. I just like kind of like get the energy of a place in me. So New York made me like have a lot of energy, like kind of manic, but in a great way. I got a lot done. But I also, I felt like it was time to go experience something else because I love New York, and so much so that I got there and I was like, I need to know everything about this place, and I got my tour guide license. Actually, I became a tour guide.
Cool.
But New York, I love New York, but definitely New York thinks it's the world, kind of like in a way, like everything's there, and I just kind of wanted to like get out.
Yeah. So do you you got out? That's for sure. Do you think you'll go back? I mean, is that the plan, or do you have a plan?
The plan is to live this vagabond lifestyle. Because got this little tour in the fall. They're talking about a tour in the spring. I've already got another record like written and almost ready to go for the 3rd one. So I'm trying to like release that next year and probably tour around that. I mean, I don't know. I'm also like living in the woods, and someone told me about the Delta variant the other day, and I was like, oh no.
I was gonna ask you. I didn't want to push too much if you didn't know, because I want you to enjoy yourself. But how much do you know about the fuckery that awaits you?
Don't know anything, and I'm like, yeah. When I left the world, everyone was wearing masks and everything like that. So if I come back and everyone's wearing masks, and I'll be like, oh, this is where I left it. Like,
yeah, we were on the trail. So let's see, we hiked the last week of July. We came off the trail in Glacier on August 1st. We were only out there 4 days. We came off the trail, and when we left, everything was like normal, right? Like it
Right.
wasn't normal, but things were returning to some semblance of normalcy. And then um, in Glacier, when we got back, there were signs all over. We had this like, we came out on a kind of a front country campsite or
Mhm.
campground that didn't have it didn't have Wi-Fi or anything like that. So, but it was, there were bathrooms and a
Mhm.
restaurant. You can get a, a beer or whatever,
Yeah.
buy t-shirts. And so we go in this restaurant and there's just signs everywhere that say starting tomorrow, face masks required throughout the park. And
Oh my.
when we left, it was like, if you're vaccinated, cool, and no one was wearing masks. And then that when we came off the trail 4 days later, it was like the world was on fire again. and not only that, like the metaphor of the world, like the figurative, the world is on fire, but all of Montana was on like
Oh.
actually burning,
Gee.
Fuck, man, get me back out there, get me back in the backcountry. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm in Florida, so like it's as bad as it gets here.
I was gonna the epicenter.
Yeah, we're problematic. I'm not. I don't think. I'm trying to be okay. I'm at home right now, so
Yeah.
I'm at home all day, baby. All right. So you got you're in Connecticut. You've still got
Yeah.
quite a bit of trail left, but you're getting pretty close. You're not. I mean,
Yeah.
you've done the bulk of it.
Right. Yeah. 2/3.
Awesome. When you get into, I wish I knew exactly where this was, but the
Mm.
trail magicians will allow it to happen for you, I'm sure. There's this
Mhm.
spot in like somewhere in New Hampshire, just across the border from Vermont, I believe, if I remember correctly. And there's a sign. I hope you run into this guy. It has a like a cartoon picture of this guy's face, and it says Bill, and it says, and there's like a musical note, and it says, Bill's ice cream brings all the hikers to the yard. They're like, it's better than yours. Like your brain immediately does Khaleesi's milkshake, like
Right.
as you're reading it, right? And there's an arrow pointing up the hill, and then this guy Bill lives up on the hill and is this angel. And so he, you can fill up your water there, and he'll give you
What?
some ice cream and everything. And
What?
he's got a banjo, and if you'll play him a song on his banjo, he'll give you a beer.
Whoa. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I hope you run into Bill, because that was one of the highlights, like, of that stretch, because that stretch is pretty fucking hard. And then
Right.
you get there, and you see that sign, and it's irresistible. It's this like cartoon picture of his smiling face. But if you can play a song on his banjo, he'll give you a beer.
That's awesome. Okay. I gotta quickly learn banjo.
I'm sure you can fake it. My buddy was
Yeah.
all three of us kind of fake our way through guitar, and my buddy's a little bit better than the other two, and so he just kind of faked his way through. Bill's not real picky. He's got a cartoon sign on the trail that says his ice cream brings all the hikers to the yard.
Yeah.
Oh man. This has been so much fun. The question we kind of usually end on, and sometimes that ends up leading us to other places. But I want to make sure you get a chance to get plenty of sleep tonight. And I know it's late and you got to be tired. But we always talk about the art that is inspiring you at the moment, and I'm especially interested as you're on the trail and going through this life transition or whatever's going on, and your records coming out while you're hiking. It's just singles coming out while you're hiking. Like, what a fascinating time in your life to be doing the things that you're doing. What art has you inspired? Is there like a book you've been reading or a record you've been listening to or whatever it might be?
I've had the classics on while I've been out here. I keep going back to Joni Mitchell's Blue. Like that's kind of my go-to out here. Like, yeah, like anything like soft acoustic, like Jackson Frank, Bobby D, Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, John Fahey, all that, like kind of like, yeah, acoustic, soft kind of stuff, man. walking around the woods, you just feel like you're like, yes, this is exactly what this this is for,
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, I've just been, honestly, the most inspiring thing recently has been my memories, as I was dreaming. I've been having crazy dreams out here. Um, but I've just been realizing how close like the dream part of my brain is to the memory part of my brain is, because they keep coming back to me like flashes, like almost like memories, or almost like dreams kind of. I keep remembering like very odd specific moments from like childhood, like the rug in the living room, like things like little things like that. I have an intense desire to watch the first 15 seasons of The Simpsons, like a lot of like nostalgic things. Like I don't know, maybe
That's really interesting. What do you think that's about?
I think it's about kind of kind of pressing reset. Like I feel like I'm kind of going. I feel like I'm like emptying out a lot of like junk in my trunk or something. Like I've just like had these memories and had stuff floating around, and just walking out, it just cleans you. It just cleans your brain. you know?
It does. It scrubs those things. It scrubs the insides of it out, like the walls of it out. And I think that happens. I have crazy dreams when I'm on the trail too.
Hmm.
And, um, and I think for me, like I won't dream tonight,
Right.
but when I camp and when well, especially when I'm in the backcountry, so much comes up. And for me, at least, a lot of like, a lot of the heavier stuff comes up. I don't necessarily want to go watch The Simpsons. Like for me, a lot of like the shit that I was not dealing with will come up in my dreams.
Yeah.
Like, and not, I'm not asking you to, share details, but like, have you had a similar experience?
Oh yeah. I was out here, and my dream was I was going down an escalator with a bunch of people, and there's this song by I think it's Sigur Rós, right? The Icelandic band.
Hmm.
Uh, and that one famous song. I mean, the most famous song they have, the one that goes like, "Ooh," that what I'm talking about.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
That's loudspeaker, and there's this glass window, and on the other side, I see like a 4-year-old version of myself in like overalls, like waving at me and like smiling and like seems happy. But like in my escalator that's going down, and that song is playing, I'm like crying because I for some reason I'm like, it's so beautiful, like the song and like my little innocent self and like this whole, I don't know. And I woke up and I was like, whoa. And I thought a lot about it, and I was like, I'm gonna take this as like my inner child is like really happy with what I'm doing. In terms of
Wow.
spending my days walking around the forest, because yeah, I keep having these dreams where I'm like crying really hard, um and sometimes I wake up and it's really heavy, but a lot of times I wake up and it's like I feel this kind of release, um and I'm like, okay, I think this is good. Lots of feelings.
Yeah, that sounds like catharsis. And
Yeah.
it is that similar. So when that kind of thing comes up,
Mhm.
um, is that something you translate then into song usually?
Usually, yeah. Usually, definitely, I would kind of like try to take that energy, that little ocean of emotion, and push it towards a song. But here, that's why I said I'm kind of hurting a little bit, because I can't. Um, I can't really. I need the guitar. I need like the physical object of the six strings. Like I can sing do 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 all I want, but it's not like, it's not like my music.
Yeah. Can you get a hold of a guitar like you come, I mean, every however many miles or so you're going to come to a town. So can you,
Yeah,
I know you're on on a schedule, but
that's the thing, is like these town. I thought really it was gonna be like I remember there's a lot of talk on the first couple 100 miles of like Damascus, Trailtown, USA, and or Harper's Ferry or whatever. These towns, like, they're usually like 1,000 people. They're usually like a gas station and like a general store. Like, there, I haven't seen one music store this whole time.
Interesting.
Yeah, I emailed the company K-Loss or something. One of these ones that makes like a travel guitar. It's like a polycarbon fiber deal, and I was like, hey, like I'm a musician, like got some Instagram followers, like want to give me a free guitar. Like, we got brand. Thank you. It's like, dang.
Yeah, you don't know until you ask, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. There's I always forget the name of the town that Dartmouth is in, but it's up in
Hanover.
Yeah, that place. They were like, we felt like posers because we were only doing 4 days or whatever, and they were just like showering us with gifts. They were just like, they were just like, do you need a shower? Do you want, laundry? Here's a donut. And like, we only did like 20 miles. And they go, it's fine. You're a hiker. Welcome. And when you came off because the trail goes basically right through town. So when you come off the trail, there's people sitting outside, like cheering you on. There's like coolers full of drinks. Hopefully that's your experience. That was our experience. Maybe COVID's different, but that was the experience where people were just like tossing you waters like you were like an NFL star or something.
It sounds great.
Yeah, so there's a little hope for you. There's a little something to look forward to. That little stretch is awesome anyway. It's so intense, but it's like, it's magical. It really is beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, man, I don't want to keep you because I know you've been hiking and you've given me more than I could possibly ask for. I want to thank you again for Wanderkid. It's such a wonderful record. I'm so excited for my copies to arrive. And I've been spreading the word. I just figured out you were on Twitter. I thought you weren't on Twitter, so I'll be tagging you now finally. Sorry about that. I've been singing the praises of your music and not tagging you, but I got you now, man. And but yeah, be safe and continue to have fun and get to know yourself. And I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed this conversation. This was so wonderful.
Hell yeah, man. Me too. And I love your national t-shirt.
Thanks, dude. This was the show was in the St. Augustine Amphitheater and Courtney Barnett opened, and it was just the raucous, amazing, beautiful time.
I love Courtney Barnett.
Man, she's so great. And that was my first time seeing the National, and what a show. Those guys just bring it. And he's like running out with his giant cord with his microphone. He's halfway up the stands, and just everything that you wanted from the National happened that day. And at the St. Augustine Amphitheater, which is adjacent to Anastasia State Park. And so you can camp at Anastasia State Park, this beautiful park right on the water, right on the Atlantic Ocean, and walk over. And then there's Courtney Barnett and the National. It's just really fond memory.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, get you some good sleep, and
I'm gonna get that.
Have a wonderful day tomorrow hiking, dude.
Thank you, man. Thanks for everything.
My pleasure.
Talk to you soon.
All right, sounds great.
Bye.
JW Francis, y'all. Thank you so much, JW. Thank all of you for listening. JWFrancis.com for all things JW. MarinadePodcast.com for all things The Marinade, including written pieces, photography, our online store, and more. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Give us a follow and a 5-star rating on your podcast app. Make sure you're subscribing over there. These are all free ways to support the show. If you really like what we're doing, please consider joining our Patreon community, where for just a few bucks a month, you can gain access access to Patreon exclusive content like our show, Jason's Journey, where I talk about the moments that shape my creative life and provide a window into the process of making the Marinade. Sometimes we even get together for Patreon happy hours. A few weeks ago, we dropped a very special Jason's Journey with songwriter and podcaster Will Payne Harrison. Will and I chatted for a while about podcasting and life. You can hear that conversation at patreon.com/Marinade Podcast for as little as $5. It's a good time. Come join us if you can. If not, just all those free ways make such a big difference. Above all, thank you so much for listening and for spreading the word about the Marinade. All right, y'all, this is normally the time where I tell you what I'm getting down on, the art that is inspiring me at the moment. I'm going to switch it on you a little this time. What I'm getting down on for this episode is available for free on our Patreon, patreon.com/Marinade Podcast. In its place, I'm reintroducing a segment called Review Under 2. It's a review of a record that has me excited in under 2 minutes. Our review for this episode is Nathan Bell's Red, White, and American Blues, It Can Happen Here. The novel It Can't Happen Here by Sinclair Lewis was published in the 1930s. It tells the story of Berzelius Buzz Windrop, a demagogue who was elected as president of the United States and subsequently seizes authoritarian power. Windrop's in over his head, he's an unlikely populist juggernaut, and he's just not smart enough to hold the job. Sound familiar? Almost feels like it can, in fact, happen here, doesn't it? Like its partial namesake, Nathan Bell's Red, White, and American Blues, It Can Happen Here is an unfortunately timeless piece of art. Necessary in its import, heartbreaking in its relevance. Written over the course of several years and delayed in its release by the COVID-19 pandemic, Red, White, and American Blues has a transportative quality. The tension of recording in 2019, a stress that is often forgotten due to subsequent events, feels immediately present to the listener. While the record feels like 2019, it also feels like 2015 and 2021 and the 1930s because Nathan Bell lives in the present, and he has lived. Lived in the sense of raised a family, lived in the sense of worked a 9-to-5 job, lived in the sense of come home from work and put on the ball game, in the sense of read all the books and listened to all the records. He has a poet's eye with an everyman's heart. Red, White, and American Blues, It Can Happen Here is the self-aware expression of a life well lived. It is what every songwriter seeks, an honest expression of where we've been and where we are now. The album is musically sparse, which allows Bell's command of storytelling and imagery to shine. Bell takes on America's gun obsession twice. Buzz Windrop come to life Donald Trump and more that ails this country. He also celebrates everyday folks, pays respects to his late father, and examines mortality with an optimistic eye. Red, White, and American Blues, It Can Happen Here would be a powerhouse of a record if the vocals were Bell's alone. But the contributions of Aubrey Sellers, Regina McCrary, and Patty Griffin take songs that stand on their own 2 feet and launch them into rarefied air. The collapse of a free society can and very well may happen here, but it won't happen for lack of artists like Nathan Bell turning a critical eye on American society. That's your review under 2 for Red, White, and American Blues, It Can Happen Here by Nathan Bell. Y'all, thank you so much for listening. Until next time, go out and create something. Cheers, y'all.